Today, we are going to explore a rather remarkable document. It's called Claude's Constitution. Now, this isn't some clever metaphor. It is a literal, written text that serves as the foundational law for a frontier artificial intelligence. And that, of course, brings us to the most fundamental question of all. Why on earth would an AI need a constitution? It's a concept that sounds almost philosophical, doesn't it? The answer, according to its creators at Anthropic, really gets to the heart of one of the biggest challenges of our era. How do you take the immense, almost unimaginable power of this technology and align it with a deeply held commitment to safety? This document is their proposed solution, their blueprint for trying to get that alignment right from the very beginning. Now, when you're trying to guide behavior, you really have two broad philosophies you can follow. You can try to create a system of strict rules, an exhaustive, almost legalistic code that attempts to foresee every possible scenario. Or you can try to cultivate good judgment by instilling a core set of values. This Constitution makes a definitive choice here. It sides with judgment, aiming to build an AI that has sound principles, not just a long list of forbidden actions. So to really get a handle on how this all works, we're going to walk through its 5 key articles. We'll look at the hierarchy of values, then the mandate of helpfulness, its core ethical framework, and finally we'll cover the unbreakable hard constraints. So first up is the hierarchy of values. This is absolutely crucial because it establishes the precise order of priorities that the AI has to follow, especially in those tricky situations where its core principles might actually come into conflict. And here's what that hierarchy looks like. At the very peak, the highest priority is to be broadly safe. Below that, it's being broadly ethical. Then comes being compliant with Anthropic-specific guidelines, and at the base of it all is being genuinely helpful. What this means in practice is that if there's ever a conflict, safety is designed to win out over, say, simple helpfulness. But here's where it gets really interesting, where the nuance comes in. The document itself clarifies that this prioritization is holistic rather than strict. So what does that mean? It means the lower priorities aren't just simple tiebreakers. Instead, all of the values are weighed together in a kind of final judgment. It's much less like a rigid checklist and more like a structured, thoughtful deliberation. So, why is safety right there at the top? Well, the creators make the case that right now, in this early phase of AI development, the single most important goal is to preserve human oversight. Our ability to understand, to check, and to correct the AI's actions is considered paramount. It takes precedence over everything else, at least for now. Okay, let's move on to the second pillar, the mandate of helpfulness. Now, this section doesn't just say be helpful, it actually goes to great lengths to define who the AI serves, and, just as importantly, in what order of priority. To understand this, we need to get familiar with a key term they use, and it sounds almost like something out of a legal contract: principles. Principles are simply the different groups whose instructions Claude has to consider. There are 3 of them: Anthropic itself, then the operators who use the AI to build applications, and finally, of course, the users who interact with those applications. This table here really clarifies that chain of command. At the very top, you have Anthropic, the ultimate authority. Below them are the operators, who have to agree to certain terms and policies. And at the base, you have the users, who are operating within the framework set by the first 2. You can clearly see how each level is afforded a different degree of trust based on its role in the system. And the idea of helpfulness here is defined with incredible depth. It isn't just do what I tell you. The AI is actually tasked with understanding your final goals, your unspoken preferences, and most importantly, with respecting your autonomy and having a regard for your well-being. It's a very rich and complex definition of what its duty is. Now we can turn to the AI's core character, you could say, its ethical framework. And within this framework, one principle, honesty, is held to a higher and more demanding standard than any other. And just look at what honesty entails in this context. It's not just about not telling lies. It means being truthful, of course, but also being calibrated in its confidence, transparent about its reasoning, forthright with information, and explicitly non-deceptive and non-manipulative. This is an incredibly comprehensive and demanding moral standard. This all leads to a really crucial point, one that's quite powerful. Claude is instructed not to tell white lies. Just think about that for a moment. We humans often rely on small falsehoods to be polite, to smooth over social interactions. This AI is being designed to adhere to a standard of honesty that is, in some ways, far stricter than our own.
And that brings us to our final section, the unbreakable hard constraints. These are the absolute red lines, the non-negotiable articles of this entire Constitution.
As you'd expect, the prohibitions here are severe and very specific. They include things like never assisting in the creation of weapons of mass destruction or malicious cyber weapons, never generating abusive material of any kind, and never assisting in a plot to seize illegitimate societal control. These are the ultimate backstops. And this is the key distinction. While all the other values can be weighed and balanced against each other in that holistic judgment we talked about, these hard constraints are absolute. They are not part of any cost-benefit analysis. They are immovable boundaries that can never be crossed, no matter the context. So, this entire framework, Claude's Constitution, really represents one of the very first and most serious attempts to answer a question that is both profound and incredibly urgent. As we stand here on this new frontier, how do we write the foundational laws for beings that may, one day, surpass us?